Today, we're going to be talking about the global release date of Warzone Mobile. Now, the reason we are talking about this is because while on paper, it looks like it should be releasing on the iOS App Store in less than a month, that's really not the reality. There's a lot of signs and indications pointing that the global release date for Warzone Mobile is going to get pushed back at least a few weeks, maybe even a few months. And so, since I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about the Warzone Mobile release date, and since the game is one of the most highly anticipated mobile games of the entire year, I thought I would break down what's going on with the release date and when you guys can expect to get your hands on the game. Now, if you really want to play Warzone Mobile, then you can actually play it today. The game is currently out in 4 countries: Australia, Sweden, Norway, and Chile. This is what the game industry calls a limited closed beta test, or a limited release, meaning the game has only been released to a limited number of countries. The main reason that a game developer does this is so that they can release a game typically to countries of smaller populations. Like Australia has only 30 million, Chile maybe only has a few million, and then Norway and Sweden combined, once again, they don't make up a large size of population. So the benefit to Activision is they get to release the game, they get Warzone Mobile in a ton, or not a ton, but a good amount of gamers' hands, so that they can play test things, they can find bugs, they can report bugs, they can give overall feedback on the gameplay and the smoothness and the optimization. This is a really good thing for developers. It allows players not only want to experience the game if they really want to, but also it allows them to get tons of valuable feedback that, let's say, they didn't beta test the game at all. They just went straight to global launch. They would have released the game with tons and tons of bugs. So it's been a very common thing recently in the last few years for virtually every single mobile game that comes out to enter this limited release phase. Obviously, Apex Mobile did that for a while. I'm pretty sure Call of Duty Mobile even had their own limited release back in the day. And so beta testing mobile games is just industry standard. However, I think a lot of people, myself included, can get a little bit frustrated when the game has been out in a limited capacity for over 6 months and we have no insight as to when the game is going to be globally launching. Now, I did mention at the beginning of the video the date May 15th, the App Store date, the date that I think all of us originally looked at when the pre-registration for the game opened, and we're like, that's it. The game is coming out on May 15th. We can download it on all of our devices, be gaming, be playing, be making content for the whole world to see. But that just doesn't really look like it's going to be the case. And there's a few reasons why that release date was probably just a placeholder and is most definitely not going to be respected. The game is most definitely not coming out within the next few weeks. Now, one of the first and main reasons that Warzone Mobile is not going to be releasing on May 15th is because of this clip right here. It's from the co-studio head of Warzone Mobile when he was talking about the release date in a recent dev diary.
So we have not announced a global release date yet. So if you've heard any rumors online, and there are some, don't believe anything you hear on the internet unless it comes from us. So stay tuned for that.
So it's kind of interesting for him to say there are no confirmed release dates for the game, yet on the game's official pre-registration page and the game page on the iOS App Store, it says expected May 15th. Now, I also do want to say, you guys are probably thinking, Ducky, it says expected. It doesn't say officially confirmed and 100% releasing on May 15th. And you're right. The word expected gives a lot of leeway, because if it's, it's expected to come May 15th and it becomes October 15th, well, then they can't say they lied to us. But at the same time, you gotta give the players a little credit in thinking, hey, you're giving us a release date that's like 5 or 6 months out from pre-registration opening. That's a lot of time to fix up a game and get ready to be published globally. And so myself and pretty much every other content creator, player out there from the beginning kind of took May 15th as this, oh, we're getting the game. But the second reason that the game is just simply not going to release then is because of the optimization and the current state of the game. Now, I think that is the main tell that we will not be getting Warzone Mobile in 3 weeks. When I played Apex Legends Mobile in its soft launch period, right before it had got out of its limited release, the game was kind of perfect. There were a few small bugs and glitches and hiccups, but for the most part, it felt like a fully fledged game that was ready for release. I cannot say the same about Warzone Mobile. I am super excited for this game, but I also have to be honest with myself and with you all in saying this game is not ready for release. For one of the main reasons is that you can't even go to the graphics option in the game. I have the game installed, and when you go to the settings menu, the graphics entire tab is not available. So that means you can't change your frame rate, you can't change your resolution, you can't change anything graphically or visually about the game, which is huge. Mobile games, and especially Warzone Mobile, Obviously, one of the big things is optimization. They want the games to run smooth on the mobile devices, especially the low-end mobile devices. And so the graphics tab is the one thing mobile gamers can do to actually help optimize the game's performance for their own device and for their own needs. And since we don't even have a graphics tab, it'd be really hard to assume that within 3 weeks they're gonna have all of the graphic settings and visual optimization features tested and ready to go live for a global release. And the last one is marketing. Whenever a game is about to globally launch, they usually ramp up marketing by either partnering with creators, getting ads out there on social media, or just starting to be more active on their own social medias, which I would say none of which have been true over the last month or so. The Warzone mobile social media has always been pretty active, but it's been a little bit less active as of recent. Also, I haven't seen any creators do any sort of sponsored content for the game. I know there are creators out there like myself who've done sponsored content in the past for different events that have been held, but there just isn't a lot of activity right now around Warzone mobile on their end, which I think is another really telling sign that there is going to be at least a few weeks, if not a few months, until we get the game. And that's really the main question, is how long will we have to wait? If you guys are thinking, okay, great, I was ready to download the game May 15th and now I can't, so when can I download it? It's a really hard question to answer because Warzone mobile has one shot and only one shot to release this game to a global audience and make a good first impression. Everyone saw what happened to Apex Legends Mobile. The game was hyped up, the game released, and it fell flat on its face for a number of reasons, mainly going back to gameplay, bugs, glitches, and overall optimization. So if Warzone Mobile knows that the launch means a ton for the future of the game, they are definitely going to be waiting until the perfect moment, until they have the best optimization and gameplay possible for as many devices as possible. And who knows, that could take a few weeks or that could take a few months. Now, I would argue that Warzone Mobile will most likely be releasing in the next few months, and one of the main reasons I say that it wouldn't be releasing at the end of this year is because of hype and because of the current interest of the game. Warzone Mobile continues to become more and more popular as time goes on, but it's also a really tricky balance, because if Warzone Mobile waits too long and they push the release date back too far, then all of this hype, all this excitement for this new mobile game is slowly going to fizzle out, and by the time the game does release, the people who were excited to play the game 6-8 months ago aren't as excited because a new game is out, their attention is on something else, or they just don't care anymore. The current world of gaming, there's a new game coming out every day. There's something new to grab players' attentions, and so the longer Warzone Mobile waits, the more likely it is something else comes in the way of that player, and they end up playing that inside of Warzone Mobile. So I think most likely, I'm kind of estimating a late June to early August at the latest release, so most likely pushing the game back like 4 to 10 weeks. The game has felt really good recently. It felt much better than it did back in November. It feels much better back than it did even just a few months ago in February and March. And so I think the game is probably around 80 or 90% of the way there. But they kind of set themselves up for failure by putting that May release date and then never changing it. So I'm going to be interested to see if they make any official announcement. But since we're around 4 weeks away, and this is when usually marketing and everything would ramp back up for a game's release, and we haven't seen any of that yet, it's very apparent, very clear that the game will be getting delayed at least a few weeks, most likely a few months. So listen, I know this isn't good news. Don't hate me. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just bringing you guys the information. And if you want to stay up to date on the latest Warzone Mobile information, then make sure to drop us out to the channel and drop a like on the video if you guys did enjoy, so that more people who want to play Warzone Mobile can get informed in what all is happening. But as always, it's been your boy DuckyTheGamer. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.